The HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast is powered by Cornerstone Gundog Academy. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for the free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast. Since 1898, Old Towne has been building the most advanced, quality watercraft products to give you the very best experience on the water. Whether you're hunting, fishing, or enjoying a relaxing paddle on the lake, there's a boat for every type of adventurer. If you haven't seen it, check out their newest offering, the new grab-and-go watercraft designed to function as your boat, blind, and retriever. The easy-to-conceal, 11-foot 9-inch, 56-pound Solo Sportsman is the ideal craft for those in search of a stable, lightweight craft that's easy to paddle and even easier to transport or stash. Designed with the hunter and angler in mind, the Solo Sportsman is equipped with thoughtful shell, tackle, and tool storage, a comfortable and adjustable seat and foot braces, an accessory track, and rod holders. Check it out at oldtowncanoe.com/sportsman. Out in the field, how you've prepared determines how you'll perform. With balanced fat and protein to support peak condition, Eukanuba Premium Performance Dog Food enhances strength, energy, and endurance. So when the pavement ends and the truck doors swing open, you and your dogs are ready for anything. Strong, focused, ready for anything? That's a Eukanuba dog. Sound Gear is offering a 35% discount to the HP Outdoors listeners for their instant fit industrial and shooter products. You can head over to soundgearhearing.com and use the promo code HPOWP35 to claim your discount today. Original design, select grade components, superior sound, and unparalleled service. 737 takes exceptional pride in producing the finest quality, best built premium calls in the market today. They're made right here in America, and they're offered only direct to consumers through their website. Shipping in the U.S. is always free, and international orders are also accepted online. A 20-day money-back guarantee and lifetime warranty accompanies every call purchased. 737 Duck Calls. Lead the flock. Lucky Duck. About the only creature they can't deceive is you. Lucky Duck is more than a brand. It's a lifestyle built around the subtle art of critter deception. So while you're focused on the business end of your shotgun or rifle, know that they're completely focused on what matters most, you. So whether you're in a duck blind, dove field, on a predator stand, or chasing turkeys, they're confident that their products will help you succeed. Check out their full lineup at luckyduck.com and keep up with their latest news by following them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All right, welcome to episode 180 of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, where your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. You can check us out over at hpoutdoors.com. You can find our podcast on any quality podcast directory out there. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all of the good ones. You can find our show. You can find us across all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're in our Facebook group, you'd see us live right now as we record this, as we like to do some of our shows in the Facebook group and allow folks in the group to interact with us while we record this, take their input, take their feedback during discussion. So another cool thing that we like to do. Joining me this week, as he always does, on Questionable Internet, my co-host Dan Haruska. Dan, what's up, buddy?
The internet is the worst, and I hate it, and that's all. If I could change one thing about my life, it would have consistent, good, fast internet.
Yeah, we've been kidding around today that, I've been saying you're O for your life against the internet. It just always gets you.
I feel like dial-up in high school is more, it's just more consistent than what I have now. This is so bad. I'm so angry.
Yeah, it's questionable. And it's unfortunate because we may have some audio issues as we go through this, but it is what it is. So we'll work through it. And this week, we're going to talk about how you can leverage your waterfowl gear in the off season. So one of the things that comes up quite a bit is, especially this time of year, with the COVID stuff, and while some of that stuff's lifting now, which is good, people are getting outside more and they're trying to, figure out things to do with their kids and all that kind of stuff. So we were thinking, how can you use your waterfowl gear for some of those things? So hopefully in the group, we'll get some people chiming in on how they've been able to use their waterfowl gear this spring and summer. And we'll share some of ours. And, some of these things are probably not earth shattering new things for people, but some of them might, or maybe you'll pick up one or two new ways to utilize your gear. So I don't know if you have anything you want to chime in on that before we start, Dan, but that's kind of where we're driving this week.
Before we start, I had a really cool experience today in the turkey woods. Okay. Last day of the season. Nothing to do with waterfowl at all. But anyway, so there's been quite a few turkeys around, and I was doing some yard work, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk in the back 40 here. So start walking around, and I hit the call a little bit, and I hear a gobbler go off down by our field. So I start walking towards it a little bit. Some shooting or fireworks going on outside of my house.
It's the Wild West at your house, dude. It's always
It is the Wild West. Can you hear that?
No.
Anyway, so as I start to look up, and I thought laying down in the middle of the field. So I start walking towards it, and then I realize that it's a coyote just sleeping in the middle of my food plot. And I start creeping up on it. And as I'm creeping up on it, the turkey that I was walking towards was just full running at me. And I'm moving, and it spotted me and just took off. And that thing takes off up the side of the woods. And I think either the coyote heard that or it smelled me. But that thing got up and took off real quick, stopped at about, 150 yards out, and then just took off into the woods. So pretty cool. No shots, but it was pretty neat to see. I've been hearing coyotes quite a bit lately, but I usually don't see them. And that was the first one on my property that I've ever seen, I believe, besides one that my brother shot.
So if you had just sat down and worked that bird, do you think you would have killed it?
Yeah. Because he was running. I don't know how close he actually got, but when I saw him, he was probably 70, 80 yards running straight away. Realized that when I called and he gobbled, and then he just must have just beelined right for me.
Interesting.
Nice gobbler.
That's a bummer.
Nice long beard.
And now you said that today was the last day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today was the last day.
All right. Well, let's get on to some waterfowl talk. I'll start it off. I think the first one that most people probably already do, I'm sure, and it's fairly obvious, is leveraging the duck boat, right? And I bring this one up just because, while most people do it probably, there's a lot of different variety of duck boats that can be leveraged. We're talking maybe your duck boat is a kayak. Maybe your duck boat is a canoe. Maybe your duck boat's 16 foot with a, mud motor on the back or whatever it is. Maybe you got a big water boat. All of those can be used in various ways and different capacities to, take your kids out fishing. I've seen people do tubing behind their duck boats if they've got, a strong enough motor and that kind of thing. Just generally getting out in the water is good. For me, I'm using my kayak as, a fishing, machine right now. So it's all rigged up for that. But if I want to get the family out in the canoe, it's easy to do. I know you had the family out in the canoe last weekend over Memorial Day. So, it's one that I think a lot of people probably already do, but, thinking of maybe different ways to use it than what you're currently doing might be something you can try.
Yeah. So the Old Town, the solo is, I put myself in it, and my son likes to sit in there with me, and we go around the lake or whatever. But we got that Old Town Discovery 15, which the weight capacity on it is like 1,600 pounds, and you can put a 4 horsepower on it, and it drops it down to a 4-person and 800 pounds. But there's no motor on it currently, and it was my wife, 2 daughters, and then my friend and his pregnant wife were all in that. And he was standing up like a paddleboard in the back paddling that thing. And it was as stable as can be. That thing's an absolute tank. So I'm excited to. I'm gonna get a motor on it and buzz around and get into a few different spots. I'll have to set up some sort of pop-up blind, but I got some time to figure that out.
You're gonna have to get it all registered and everything.
Yep.
Get stickers on it.
Right now, I just got the launch permit is all you need, and that's what I got. So that was just to get it out on the water, and that was the main voyage. So 3 adults, 2 kids. Easily could have had a couple more kids in there, maybe one more adult.
Awesome. Well, that bodes well for duck season, I think.
Yeah. There's no question about putting dog in it, and plenty of decoys and whatever else. I think 2 adults, a dog, decoys, guns. They have plenty.
Yeah, you're super froze there, buddy.
Super froze. Was the audio coming through?
Nope.
It sounds about
Go
right.
ahead, just keep going. What's next on your list?
I want to say Yeti buckets. We use those for A-frame blinds, but I like to use that going camping, big camping family, and put everything needed for food, chips, s'mores, stuff like that. I enjoy it, and you take it right up to the fire and have everything right there for you.
Yeah, I would even go a step further in saying not just Yeti buckets, but like any blind stools, that kind of stuff. Those are great for campfires and camping. A lot of gear can, I think transition over to camping. So the seats and the buckets and stuff, I think that's perfect. I use my Yeti buckets in the off season more for my smoker. I keep all my tools and some seasonings in there and gloves and just different things that I need that I use with my smoker regularly. So, they're definitely multi-dimensional.
Do you have you have the inside compartment and the outside compartment?
I have the drop-in tray and I have the sleeve on the outside. I don't use the sleeve on the outside at all for my smoking kit. So I haven't found a good use for that yet. I do have one. I just haven't found one that really fits. I haven't found what fits my needs to go in there at this point quite yet. Yeah.
I put mine on for a little bit and then I ended up taking it off, but I could do without that. Like shells, everything else I use for hunting go inside, and I just haven't found a need for that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So I'm gonna check off another easy one here that I know that most people are already doing. But obviously, using your waterfowl guns, that can be used for turkey hunting, shooting clay birds. If you hunt crows or something like that, nuisance type animals, you can use those. But it's a great opportunity to just get a couple buddies together, bust some clays, keep the skills sharp. It's just something to pass time. But I know a lot of guys talk about, hey, I put my waterfowl shotgun away at the end of the season, and it doesn't come out of the safe until opening day or whatever. So there's definitely things you can be doing with those guns if you if you want to, and even if you go to the range, I'd say bring it with you just so that you can knock the dust off of it a little bit, and and that way, if for some reason you've had something fail in the gun that you may not be aware of, you can try to identify any issues before the season starts. Like maybe you knock the front bead loose or something like that. You'll have time to figure that out before it gets, too close to the season.
I always like when people say that they'll just have their shotgun in their living room or whatever, not loaded, and they'll just pick it up and practice swinging it, just keeping that feel, especially after the end of the season. And if you don't pick it up for the entire summer, then, you're not as sharp as you can be. So I think the guys that are always kind of handling the guns and keeping it sharp, that's always good to roll into the season with.
Yep. What else you got?
I'm going to go with waders. Pretty simple. I know a lot of guys get into fly fishing, or we wade for walleye in our lake in the springtime, and just double it up, and that's one. It's good because it's not going to just dry rot in wherever you place it, and that if you have leaks before season, there's nothing worse than getting wet. Usually, I mean, if you're hunting September, you're warm, but if you don't use waders until later in the season, you end up freezing cold, and as we know, can end hunts that we talk about quite often. But yeah, the waders, and just outerwear. If it's raining, I know I'll throw my Delta jacket on and run through a rainstorm without a problem. I always have that hanging right in the entryway, and also gloves, and that goes. The Delta Deeks, whenever I'm plowing my driveway in the wintertime, I know it's not the summertime, but keep the hands warm and dry. And as I don't have anything, my quad isn't enclosed, so bearing the elements and wearing all my waterfowl gear out there.
Yeah, definitely using, water protective gear goes along with the camping thing, goes along with all that. I think the diehard fly fisherman would scoff at you standing out there in your camo bibs or camo waders, or whatever. But I mean, for the weekend warrior that doesn't either want to or have the resources to devote to a separate pair of waders for fishing, like, it definitely gets the job done. I've even contemplated on my kayak early season when the water's cold and stuff, I'll put on my Sitka bibs and a waterproof top, because when the air temperature is still pretty cold and all that stuff, I still want to stay watertight as I can, so I'll use those in there as well. So
water in the wind when it's still chilly, or in the early morning you got the fog, and like that could just ruin your day if you're out there trying to fish and you get soaked first thing in the morning. It's
yeah.
And the wind stopper, wind stopper is so underrated by some people. You can, I just think back to growing up, and you could put on so much gear that you could barely put your arms down, right? But when that wind would start howling, if you didn't have good gear, you would be cold. And that just having a quality outer layer is a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, windstopper is just, it's one of those things where you didn't realize you needed it so much until you try it, and you're like, oh, man, this is this is the jam right here. So good stuff. I'm gonna go a little out of left field here. One of the things that you hear a lot about is guys saying, I haven't heard from such and such or so and so all summer, and now he's calling me because season's coming up and all that kind of stuff. So while it's not a piece of gear, it's pretty critical to your waterfowl hunting. It's critical to your waterfowl hunting is your hunting buddies. And, maybe there's guys where you see them more in the season and you just, because you don't hang out, your families maybe aren't as close, whatever the case might be. Right. But the summer could be a good opportunity to get up with those guys and go fishing or go shoot clays or go shoot your bows or shoot groundhogs or whatever it is. Right. Like doing something to maintain those friendships, I think makes a lot of sense in the summertime. If you're around, but I mean, I know a lot of people travel, right? I mean, summertime's like vacations, people get busy at work. So there's a lot going on that leads up to that reason for like not being as close with your hunting buddy sometimes, depending on, your relationship with them. But I think that's one thing you could definitely devote some time to, call your buddy up and be like, hey, let's go out to the spot and, build the blind up or do some work on the hunting spot, whatever, just so you're not calling them that day and be, a week before season and be like, hey man, where are we hunting kind of deal.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think the percentage is of people that hunt together that don't hang out in the off season?
I would guess it's higher than you think.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, like,
do wives run our off seasons?
well, I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, most people are doing like, they're busy at work, or they got family vacations, or they got, summers is just busy for people in general. But also, like, some people travel really far to go hunt with people, and they travel like an hour or an hour and a half to go hunt with the guy. And, if your family, like your families really may not know each other that well. So like, it's hard to sync up in the off season sometimes. So, I think a lot of people probably just take care of their home life and do what they got to do. I mean, unless your hunting buddies are like your core group of dudes where you hang with those guys like all year round. I think that there's probably, I could name a couple people right now, and I'm sure you can too, that you hunt with, but you don't see them like all the time in the off season, but you guys are hunt together, and it's all that. So, those are the kind of relationships sometimes that need to be nurtured, I'll say a little bit, maybe, because you just don't, I think people get upset where it's like, oh, you only call me around duck season. I don't think that's always really the reason why people do it. I mean, yeah, they want to hunt, but it's like, man, if you live 10 minutes up the road, we'd be cool all the time. We go do whatever. But like, if you live an hour, or, I travel a bunch of work or whatever it is, right? There's a lot of variables that bring, that cause that issue.
I agree. And it's funny because now, like with the whole COVID thing and people are at home, like we were just at a friend's tonight since we're green phase and allowed to hang out. But they're like, you know what? It kind of feels nice to not be running around so much, and we can actually cook dinner and, hang out and kind of get caught up and, fix up the house or do whatever we want to do, instead of needing to run to this practice or that practice or, whatever it may be. It's kind of, which one, it kind of stinks for the kids and everything that they do, whether it be dance or baseball or soccer or whatever it is. But it's just like one giant reset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. Ben Webster says you can come over and do karate in the garage anytime you want to.
So we're recording differently tonight, and I am not able to see any of the comments. So one, that's probably good, because now I'm just not laughing at everyone, and I'm sure that my internet's getting ripped apart and everything else. But
no, they've been pretty gentle on your internet so far.
Nice.
So anyway, what's next on your list, Dan?
I am going to say decoys, and that is coming from a photography mentality. It seems like the uptick in photographers has just grown exponentially, and to get out in, the reverse migration when birds are coming back through and setting up the decoys and getting those shots that you might not want to take the time to do in season, or you're just not capable because, you want to shoot the gun instead of the camera, taking your gear out, and instead of putting it away after the last day. Am I froze? I don't know what you're doing.
No, I'm getting my hair's getting trolled right now. Oh. My flow.
No, but yeah, getting the decoys out, and it's also a time to set up different kinds of blinds and just see how the birds work different areas and get those shots that you really want to get.
Yeah, if you're into photography, I mean, that's a great opportunity to, and you're still going to set a spread, because it's just like when you're hunting, you want to try to get birds to finish in certain areas to get photos of them. So yeah, I think that's a good one that I hadn't really thought of. And
refine the craft. Just work. You're getting you're doing the calling, and like you said, getting them lined up, and eventually I think that would help you in the field come fall. Even
You
though
know?
you're working non-pressured birds, right? But it still gives you an idea of, if you're newer, it gives you an idea with the wind and sun and what you can get away with. You're going to have, a flare off the lens possibly, and just kind of get to test things out. And the pictures are the end game, and you don't get too frustrated with it.
Yeah. Another thing, I'm just going to sort of tag on to my last point. But I know a lot of people touch base with their landowners and stuff like that in the off season. But I think, it's another thing along the lines of your hunting buddies, like really trying to connect with your landowners, because, it's like, it seems like nowadays it's so hard to not only find spots, but to keep them is really challenging. And, that relationship right there with that landowner is as critical as any facet of your hunting, right? Like, if you don't have the permission, you don't have to worry about your concealment or your scout or your decoy spread or your shooting, any of that. None of that gets to happen unless the landowner is happy with you and it's comfortable with you hunting and using their property. So a lot of people like to stop by and offer, services and things like that. I mean, you might be able to talk to your landowners about, like, hey, can I take my son or daughter fishing over there on your pond, or whatever it is. Like, just being around the landowner, continuing to build that trust. Maybe some of these landowners you've known them for 20 years. They knew you when you were growing up, they're family friends, whatever. But if you're fortunate enough to roll up to someone's house and make that connection where they let you hunt, you better be focused on building that relationship, because the first thing some brother-in-law or somebody's going to want to hunt there, and now you're out, right? So, like, just doing your best to continue to build that relationship is pretty critical. So that's something that I think could probably always be focused on in the off season, even more so, even if you already do it. You're never going to underdo that piece of it.
Yeah, and I think to go out and have fun on their property too, go and shoot groundhogs. You don't know, like farmers, if you go and shoot groundhogs, you can probably hunt there whenever you want, at least around here. Like, that's just a huge benefit for them. Some of the farmers, they'll buy the ammo for you. What are you shooting? I'll give you a box. Just make sure you take care of these little critters, whatever. But like you said, just keeping a fresh face, and not to the point where you're bugging them or bothering them and keeping them away from their work, because farmers are some of the hardest working people out there. So being courteous but still being present. I like that point.
Before you go into your next point, for the guys that are watching in the group live right now, if you guys have ways that you're leveraging your waterfowl gear here in the off season, shoot a comment in there. Let us know so we can share that with everyone. Maybe something that we haven't talked about yet or something like that. It's part of the way these live recordings go is people kind of come and go and all that sort of thing. So if you're in the group and you're watching, chime in. We'd love to hear what you guys are doing to leverage your gear here in the off season.
I think I'd be, really out of place if I didn't mention anything about Merino and going back to camping, but that kind of goes back to your waders and clothing. But man, when it starts getting chilly in the summer nights and closer to fall, and you're camping and stuff like that, I got that on. I love the Merino. Starting to introduce the family to Merino too.
You're not pulling the wool over on the Merino wool over anyone's eyes over here. We know you have like custom Merino jammies with the footies sewn onto them, and it's probably like Sitka timber, I'm sure. Just a little poop snuggled up. a little trap door in the back. So when you say you introducing the family to the Merino wool, what does that mean?
Starting slow, getting the socks, and just letting them understand the difference between cotton and a quality Merino blend. But, some undergarments too. I love the little smirk that you're throwing out there.
I'm just shocked that it's taking this long.
I feel selfish about it. I'm not gonna lie. It feels.
I mean, you sang the praises of merino wool from the mountaintops for all to hear. I can't believe under your own roof you're
So
allowing cotton to stand.
Here's the reason why. Because, my kids are just now, the girls are 6.5 and my boy just turned 5. So up to this point, like, we really haven't tested elements with them and my wife. Like, they'll just go back sleep in the house, whatever, like not push it. But now it's to the point where they can hold their own and they understand.
You guys were like had them in like Lindsey Vonn training this winter. Like they were on the slopes every weekend. Mm-hmm. You let them run out there and cotton.
I mean, that's when it starts. That's when it starts. No, they're good to go now. We're down, we're in 14-degree weather, and the girls are like, "Yeah, let's go skiing." Well, I know that you hot environments. It's not going to happen.
Your internet has the best timing ever. Like you're just midpoint, and you just lock up.
Yeah,
it's just yeah. All right, what else? What else? You said merino. Merino was your thing. Is that was your last year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing I'll say.
I'm pretty spent.
I got another one. Yeah. So another one. A lot of guys do this, right? But, this is another case to buy quality waterfowl gear, because I've seen a lot of people this spring wearing OptiFade marsh or timber in the turkey woods, killing birds. So, if you're wondering like, hey, this is an expensive investment for just the waterfowl gear, like know that you can use that year round. I mean, that stuff works. I mean, it kills turkeys for sure. I wear it in the deer stand all the time. So don't feel like you'd be like, well, I'm still gonna have to go spend money on the turkey pattern that works for me. But to your point, like if you buy those quality base layers and then you want to do like just different colored outer pieces, it's a lot more affordable to do it that way. But no, you can throw that OptiFade marsh or timber, throw it on and go kill a turkey, no problem.
The last rifle buck that I shot, not last year, 2 years ago, I was wearing my duck oven. It was a freezing cold morning. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be toasty today. I didn't care about the pattern or anything. Put it on. And it's not quiet. It's not anything brushed or anything like that. But I was warm. I was warm until the day was over and the shot was made. Yeah. But it's a great point. And like I spend so much more time hunting waterfowl that I know how my stuff's going to perform. It doesn't matter if it's wind, rain, snow.
Just got dialed in, huh?
I just know where I need to be. I don't care. I don't depend on the weather, man. He's going to be wrong.
Yeah. Manini's chimed in here a couple times. He seems to be the only one in the group that wants to contribute in a constructive manner. He said that his relationship with his landowners this during the Rona has been pretty critical. So it's kind of good to see that he's dialed in on that, and it kind of reinforces what we were saying. And he also says that they're using, he's wearing merino socks year round, which I think a lot of people, once you get into that, like it's hard to go back to, this is like, sounds kind of snobby, but like it is like, if you're wearing socks or underwear or whatever it is, it's merino, and then you put on something different that you maybe worn for a long time before that, you're like, yeah, it just doesn't really feel as good as it, could be. So, so yeah, I'm in the same boat. I wear that stuff all year round, and, never going back to cotton. I don't even let my kids wear cotton, unlike Dan.
So I've really lost a sense of any kind of fashion lately. And like if If it's
As
warm out,
you had fashion dialed in before then.
I don't think so. I'm not claiming that either. But if you drive by my house and you see me in a pair of shorts and merino socks and extra tough rubber boots, I'm comfortable
With holes in them.
with some dry rot, whatever it's from.
Brutal. Yeah. What else you got on your list, Dan? I'm sure that there's some. Again, I don't hunt with my dog, so I don't know this space as well. But I'm sure there's something that folks use in the dog, with their dog, that can be used in the off season as well.
Just spending time and doing some training. Kimber's to the point, I think she's lost about 85% of her hearing. Either that or she just doesn't care anymore. She doesn't want to listen. Like she'll just keep walking away from me and, whatever. She's 11 and been in the blind a while, but I don't know. I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah.
Goes to her own belt more.
I didn't hear what you just said, but I'm sure it was great.
Gotta work on this.
Yeah. So TJ has a good one here. He talks about how he had an issue in the past seasons with ammo getting wet and needing a better bag to keep stuff dry. And that's a good one. I mean, dry bags are important, right? If you hunt in a boat, you need a quality dry bag to keep essentials dry and keep, change of clothes or whatever should an emergency happen. It's the same thing if you're going on a canoeing trip with your family in the summertime. Just because you fall in and the water's not freezing cold doesn't mean that you don't need to keep your essentials dry and have a change of clothes and things like that. So the little ancillary items that you use in a hunt, the dry cases and things like that. I mean, those are all applicable to be used. So, one of the biggest things for me is the Yeti Panga backpack. Is that what it's called? Is that right?
I was just going to say that too. Yep.
I use that bag all year long for everything. Like if you see me on the summertime on the baseball field, that'll be hanging in the dugout. If you see me in the duck blind in the wintertime, that'll be with me. It's just, I take it fishing with me everywhere I go. That bag goes with me because it's bulletproof and it's waterproof and it's just a solid bag. So, think about those things when you're making purchases for, waterfowl hunting, because people want to get hung up on price. But I feel like they don't always think about what else can I use this product for? Where else can I benefit from this purchase? So that's something that definitely should be considered when you're evaluating your gear and making some, decisions on that kind of stuff.
And that's, I know even like the little soft-sided Yeti coolers, like people put their camera gear in that if they're going canoeing or kayaking. Like you said, I used the backpack. I had, when we went out on the canoe the last weekend, I had that. I had a couple towels in there for the kids because they wanted to get out and swim when we got out to the islands. And then my camera gear's in there. And that's, it's safe. It can go overboard. You can flip, whatever. That thing's going to float and keep everything dry. So,
it's like
pricey, but
it's like Aaron Hitchens was saying. He'd put his cameras in those bags and just pitch it right out in the water and it'd tie it off to his boat and it just float down with him. Cameras and stuff in there.
That is
crazy.
Yeah, the red camera, unreal.
Yeah,
I'm talking like $40,000 camera and just sending it in white water behind you.
I wouldn't advocate doing that, but having confidence to do that, I would certainly put my change of clothes in there. But what else you got? You got anything else that you're taking advantage of here this off season with your waterfowl gear?
Not that I can think of so much. And it's really, yesterday was our last day of school. So, or online schooling for the kids. So I think we're going to be able to get out a little more and enjoy summertime now. But it's been kind of been a rat race trying to work and teach them. And, the wife is in the hospital and working weekends because so many furloughs. So, it's been tough. Been a lot of daddy daycare, but
One thing I'm going to add to
finally
this
getting.
is, that again, this is another one that probably people do, but I feel like it's one that I use. I may even use it more so in the off season than in season. Is my BaseMap or your electronic mapping software of choice. I mean, I use it for fishing. I mark, boat ramps and, they got those layers that show points of interest and ramps and things like that. So I use it for that. Homeschooling, kind of like you were talking about, my sons had to run, like for PE, they do like mile challenges and stuff. So I've been like just sitting in my living room using BaseMap to map like a mile track around my house so he could run it, just simple stuff like that. I feel like I find myself using it a lot, that kind of stuff in the off season. So, I mean, the pricing on that is so affordable these days. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't use that. If you're a hunter, fisherman, outdoorsman, whatever, you like to hike, you like to camp, you like to fish, whatever. That's just really good tech. And I just, I think a lot of people, if you haven't invested in that, it's definitely worth your time being able to come home, get on the computer, search it out, mark stuff. It syncs to your phone when you're out there. It's all good to go. It's just, it's a great option.
And BaseMap too has the gear drop where you can drop a pin, and what is that, weekly that they do that? Have you been doing that?
I've done it a handful of times. Yeah. I don't even check to see if I've won. So I probably got like some sweet gift sitting there that I didn't claim.
A new shotgun, new rifle. But yeah, they have sweet prizes weekly, and you just drop a pin where you think that gear might be located. They give you a rough outline of it, and there's a lot of, you can see all the pins that people put on there. There's a lot of people participating in it, but
yep,
that's kind of good little marketing tool.
Pretty neat.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. What else you got going on, man? Is there anything else you want to hit on here before we wrap up this week? We're going to hit 90 degrees here this week. First time this summer that I'm aware of. We're going to get into the 90s.
I think Sunday night's supposed to be in the 40s here.
Yeah, we'll have a night. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be, tomorrow's Sunday, right? Yeah, tomorrow's Sunday. Yeah, it's going to be cooler tomorrow and then cooler overnight. But actually what I'm really pumped about is I've got a, I don't know, I think it's about 300-acre reservoir 10 minutes up the road from my house. And it's owned by the county water authority because it's a freshwater drinking impoundment. And it's been closed for several years for dam work, but they just reopened it today. Today was the first day that it's been open. So I rolled over there and looked, and I mean, access is limited right now, but the county's actually going to build a park around it and really elaborate a lot more, give you more access opportunities. So it was packed. I mean, everyone was kayaking and stuff, weather's beautiful and everything, but like I'm super pumped because it's a really great fishery, and similar to like duck hunting, right? This is a big reservoir that they drained down. So a bunch of the shoreline was exposed for 2 or 3 years. So what used to be just all a rock bottom now has all this vegetation in it and standing timber. I mean, it looks like something you'd be fishing in like Texas or something. So really prime bass habitat in there. But I'm also interested because it's the biggest waterway here, right here local to my house. I'm also interested this winter in this migration to see what kind of birds are in there. And I'm hoping, I can't hunt there, but I might be able to go over there and get my camera out and get some good opportunities to get some cool photos of birds working those areas. So if we get cans and stuff, I definitely could see them showing up over there. But I mean, mallards and stuff too. And certainly there'll be a ton of geese over there. So, but I'm pumped to have that open.
Are they going to drain that down in the wintertime?
No, because it's fresh water. So they only drained it to work on the dam.
Gotcha.
So they want to keep it as full as possible.
Nice.
So, but they're going to make it a county park. So it'll have better ramps, and it's electric motor only. So it's really great for my paddle kayak, and it's big. I mean, 300 acres. When you got to paddle your way around, you can get away from people, and it's fun. It's a good. I saw some people pulling some good bass out of there today. So hoping to get some time to get over there and check it out, but. Life gets in the way a lot, so we'll see.
I hear you, man. Yeah, we got some camping trips lined up, and trying to keep busy through all this, and our Little League got canceled for the year. So
ours too. We're getting ready to start travel though. Practice fields are going to open next week, I think. So we're going to start practicing under some restrictions and hopefully start playing some games here this summer. And then we got a full tournament schedule for the fall. So hopefully that all can happen. So
are they, what are their practice restrictions?
So they're saying that you can have only 10 people on the field, including coaches and players. So all the parents are going to have to stay in the cars, and we'll have to do like groups. We won't be able to have the whole team out there at one time. No congregating. It's like basically you just walk in and walk out. Like you can't congregate in the common spaces around the fields. No player on player drills. I think that's more for like soccer and lacrosse and stuff like that. So I think you can still play catch. But that's the general level of it. And I think they're going to give everybody like 90 minutes a week, like one slot per week or something like that. So, it's a start, but we're hoping that we'll be allowed to play games in phase 2, but it's hard to say.
It's crazy. So what do you think college football is going to do? I see some colleges are going, straight internet for the fall.
Yeah. There's already, like 32 colleges in California that are going online. And, one of them, San Jose State, was on Penn State's schedule this year. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I've seen a lot of the NCAA stuff. They're proposing like a 6-week camp, and, they might have seating restrictions and stuff in stadiums, but, the big question is, I think that they're going to play the season, and it'll just be like some states their teams will be there and some won't. Like, Texas has already authorized professional sports. So, you're going to have stadiums, various capacities. And, if Penn State, for example, doesn't let kids back on campus to go to class, they're not going to have the football team back on either. So, but I think the schools in Texas and a lot of other places, Florida, they're probably going to play. They're playing youth sports in a lot of those areas now. So I could see it going on.
It's crazy. This is crazy times, man.
Yeah.
Just nuts. Yeah. No, I'm pretty tapped on this subject, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure we broke any new ground here, but hopefully, if you're not doing one of these things or hadn't thought about it, maybe it'll be an opportunity for you. And again, if you got something that we didn't mention, we'd love to see you posting about it in our Facebook group, or, share it with us however you'd like to. But, I think that was a good off-season topic, and we'll roll on to the next one. What do you think?
Sir, I like it.
All right, man. Well, you guys enjoy the 40 degrees and try to find some internet between now and next week.
Right.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
See you.
That's going to do it for this episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. If you're new to the show, head over to iTunes, check out some of our past episodes, and while you're there, leave us a 5-star rating and review. It's the best way for like-minded hunters just like you to find our show. Check us out on social media. Check us out over at hpoutdoors.com and anywhere you can find quality podcast content. That's going to do it for this week. Till next time, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.